Fighter Cross Tekken is a game that is very underrated and is kind of overlooked because of everything that has happened with the game. If you haven't known anything about the game for the past 10 to 15 years, that the game basically went through a really bad situation with higher ups being in the way of that game. But mechanically, the gameplay is pretty much fantastic, especially after the 2013 patch. I think it's a very good game that doesn't get a lot of love, but I think things are going to turn around for the game. One of the things that really hurt the game outside of the DLC that was on the disc and the gym system and the way that GameStop and Walmart and all these other companies were involved with the game is the fact that the game was also on Games for Windows Live. And Games for Windows Live is a system that was on PC that basically tried to integrate Xbox on the PC, and I actually tried to make players pay to play online, which that's never going to happen on PC. You're not going to get people to pay to play online. That's just not going to happen. But nevertheless, it fell victim to that game, as well as other games under the Capcom umbrella. There was other games out there that actually went, to the dark side because of Games for Windows Live. Games like Resident Evil 5 that was actually resurrected. And some other ones too I don't want to get into. I think Grand Theft Auto 4 was another one. But let's not get too far because Capcom finally removes Games for Windows Live from Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which I think this is a really big deal. Now, there's other games like Lost Planet 1 and 2, and I think Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City were some other games as well. And the article that I'm going to talk about in this one, I don't necessarily want to talk about the other games outside of Street Fighter Cross Tekken because to me that's the big game. Lost Planet 1 and 2 are great, Raccoon City, not so much. But we're going to talk about Street Fighter Cross Tekken because I think there's big things going on with this. So I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions. If this is your first time here, welcome. I appreciate you coming through. Like, share, subscribe. Check out the other videos I have. I try to go live at least twice a week and maybe even more, depends on the feedback. So hopefully you guys will check things out. All right, let's get into this. Capcom removes games from Windows Live from 2010's Lost Planet, making online co-op impossible. It never was a thing because of Game for Windows Live, but that's another story. But I want to talk about Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which let's see if there's anywhere on here that I want to talk about. That it says right here, other Capcom games like Street Fighter Cross Tekken, Operation Raccoon City also been impacted with similar messages on their Steam page. So if you go to the Steam page, it's been on there for almost a decade telling you like, yeah, we know that there's a problem with Game for Windows Live. We're currently, disabling the purchase of the game because if you didn't know how to work around this game, Street Fighter Cross Tekken basically was a game you could not play. I found the workaround. There are patches out there that you can work around this. But for the masses who just don't want to deal with that, you were like stuck in the cold. Now, the game was still available on Steam up until then, but the DLC is still available. That's what I really wanted to say. The DLC is still available, which kind of made me think that they did not want to give up on this game. I think, it was just a situation where, okay, we'll just deal with it later, whatever the case may be. But now, this is my thoughts about what's going on with this game. I don't care about Raccoon City. I don't care about Lost Planet. I don't mind playing Lost Planet 1 and 2, but I can care less about them. If I really want to play them, I'll play them on a console. But Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which I also play on a console, the thing about this is I think probably either Lost Planet 1 or 2 or Street Fighter Cross Tekken is going to be re-released at some time. I don't think that Raccoon City will be released. It was not that good of a game in my opinion. I think Capcom is going to like sweep that under the rug. But I do think Street Fighter Cross Tekken will be re-released. They wouldn't do this if it wasn't. And I think that they're going to actually revamp this game and do some things to it where it can be played on modern consoles. Street Fighter is now in a good space. Tekken is in a good space despite the Season 2 patch, whatever you want to say about Tekken. It's still in a good space. Tekken is doing great. They just had a really good tournament. That went well. Also, Street Fighter has been doing bonkers ever since it's been released. So I do think that we're going to get some really good news about Street Fighter Cross Tekken at some point. So what they need to do is this. I think they really need to re-release this also because both companies are in good spaces, and I think this is a game that was highly overlooked because of all the things I said earlier. The problem with what you call it, the GameStop thing, the Walmart thing, the gym situation, the DLC on the disc. I think they just need to go ahead and re-release this and do it right, where they can possibly still do some balance issues and actually have it online. And I think this is a game that could actually get some legs under it once again. You put it out for the PlayStation 5, or even if you want to put it out for the PlayStation 4, put it out on Xbox, re-release it on PC with up-to-date changes, kind of like what they've done with what Sega has done with Virtua Fighter 5. And I think you're going to have a winner, and I think also this will give us some type of a temperature if a Tekken Cross Street Fighter will be released. I don't know. I think as time goes on, I think it probably starts to make more sense to do so. A lot of people was like, well, you had Akuma in Tekken 7. That's the closest you're going to get to it. And I'm more like, yeah, I get it, but it's not the same. You don't have a Chun-Li. You don't have a Guile. You don't have a Sagat. A Sagat versus Marduk, I'm sorry, in a Tekken situation or a Tekken universe, Cross Street Fighter will be great. So I think if they put this out, I think you will get a somewhat of a a feel for what's going on. I think this is something that's just going to happen when if this is a thing. Now, like I said, I don't think they would do this for no reason. I don't think they'll just put this out there and just remove Game from Windows Live. And I think this was something that probably was an easier fix than it was put out to be. But I think you already had the situation with Capcom versus SNK. You see how what you call it. Oh goodness, I done lost train of thought. Son, calm down, baby. And my son is back to making all that noise. It kind of lose my train of thought, but hey, it is what it is. No edits. How successful Capcom versus SNK was, and how successful that SNK versus Capcom has been. I think Capcom is really looking at it like, hey, look, Tekken is doing good. We're doing good. Let's try to make something happen here. First and foremost, the only way we're going to know how this works, let's remove Game from Windows Live off of Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Let's go ahead and try to put this game out for maybe $40, maybe $35.99, maybe $30.99, $29.99, $30 to $40. Let's re-release this game, put it out there. Let's see if people will respond to it, and not only just have it back on Steam. Let's get it for a PS5 release. Let's see if we can get it on Xbox. Let's see if we can get it possibly even on Nintendo Switch, because I mean the game ran on a Vita, so I don't see why not. Let's see if people could get some some backing with this game, get some legs under it, and let's see if this game will actually take off. And maybe around the PlayStation 6, maybe around around that time, we'll get a Tekken Cross Street Fighter finally. So this is what I think is going to happen with this. I don't think they're just putting this out there just to do it. I think there's going to be a test run and see how it goes. And at the very least, this game is going to be back up on Steam at some point, at the very least. But I think they're probably trying to put something together where they saw what happened with the Capcom and SNK thing. I think they're going to start to transition this and try to see if they can do this with Tekken. And this is the first step. So that's my opinion. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Street Fighter Cross Tekken has been removed from Games for Windows Live. I think it's going to get a Steam release. I also think it may be re-released again on other consoles. I think it'll be a really good look. It's a very underrated, overlooked game, and I think that this game will actually do bonkers if it gets back into the masses to where it was balanced enough where it can go into tournaments. People could play online again. People will actually be able to play it and have fun. Because right now, even with Game for Windows Live, the game is still locked away to the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. And I think it's time for that game to move. Hell, we even got Marvel vs. Capcom collection. That's another collection that we thought was dead. Let's go ahead and get this out there and see how it plays out. I don't know. This is all speculation. This is what I'm thinking. And y'all let me know what y'all think. I'm going to get up out of here. I'll see y'all on the next one. Y'all take it easy. Y'all be blessed. Peace.